Alright, so what you need is your phone, some tools to open it up, the LED logo itself, some electrical tape, some double-sided adhesive tape, and some scissors. Except for the household items, I'm going to be putting links in the description for where you can get these things. So first thing first, power down the iPhone. Next, just grab your 0.8mm pentalobe screwdriver to unscrew the two screws that are next to the lightning port on the bottom of the phone. So because these screws are tiny, they're very easy to damage. So what you're going to want to do is apply some pressure to the screwdriver as you're turning it so that the screwdriver doesn't slip and strip the head of the screw. Yeah, so just set these screws aside and make sure not to lose them. They're super tiny. The suction cup is optional, but since it was my first time opening up my screen, I decided to go ahead and use it. Once you're ready, start lifting up the screen with the pry tool, starting near the home button. It is going to feel like there's some resistance, but that's completely normal. Right here is where I started meeting that resistance that I was getting worried about, but just go ahead and keep lifting the screen. Alright, so make sure not to open up the screen more than a 90-degree angle because the wires connecting the LCD to the motherboard are really thin and it is kind of easy to tear them, and then you're screwed and you have to buy a new LCD. Now there's this little plate with two screws in it holding down the battery connection to the motherboard. Go ahead and grab your Phillips head screwdriver included in the iPhone repair kit and unscrew those. Now just pop off that little plate and you can disconnect the battery right here. Once that's disconnected, go ahead and move up here to this plate. This plate is covering the 4 connectors for the LCD to the motherboard. As you're unscrewing the screws, make sure to lay them out on the table in the exact same position that they were in on the plate because they are not the same size. Once you remove this plate, you can start disconnecting each of the 4 connections of the LCD to the motherboard. Just be careful because these wires are really thin and fragile. So once you pop those connections, the LCD is now free and you can remove the suction cup. Okay, so now comes the hardest part of the modification. You've got to remove the battery, but the problem is that Apple glued it down. But thankfully they added some tabs at the bottom that are directly connected to the adhesive. So what you're going to want to do is carefully lift those tabs and then pull straight down. Doing that should remove the adhesive completely. Now, if you get unlucky like I did, it's likely that one or both of your adhesive tabs will break when you try to pull it down. What you need to do in this case is grab a blow dryer or a heat gun and apply heat directly to the back of the phone near the same area that the battery is. Make sure not to get too hot or else you'll damage the internal components. Some people ask, oh well, how hot is too hot? This is the first time I ever used a heat gun and it was pretty easy to use intuition on how hot was enough. But anyway, applying heat like that will loosen the adhesive up and make it a lot easier to pry the battery up and pull it out. Now should you have to use a heat gun and pry up the battery from the adhesive, make sure to use something that's not sharp. Like in the video right here, I'm using my ID card. That's not sharp, it's not going to puncture the battery. You will see that the battery's bending some. Some bend is okay. You can always flatten it back out. The next step is just to remove the tape that's helping hold down the current logo. You can set it aside and reuse it for the new logo if you want, or you can just do what I did and use some fresh electrical tape. So once you've got that done, it's time to start prying up the old logo. I used a razor to get it started and then the small flathead that came with the iPhone repair kit to finish off the rest of it. If you want to keep the old logo, you can, just in case you ever need to remove the LED, you can replace it with the original. Now it's time to replace the old with the new. Grab the LED logo and try to set it in place. It should sit flush with the aluminum, just like the old one. Once you're satisfied with the placement of it, use some electrical tape to hold it down. Down at the bottom is some extra wire and a capacitor. Nothing plugs in down here, you just need to tape it down with some electrical tape, making sure it sets even with everything so that the capacitor doesn't get crushed when you close the screen. Next, you need to remove this electrical tape covering the connection on the LCD. This will be where you connect the new LED logo. Now line up the LED wire perfectly center with this connection on the LCD. Also make sure that the LED wire ends on this connection, and by that I mean don't let any of the wire hang over that connection point on the LCD. As you can see here, I initially messed that up and learned the hard way and had to go back and redo it. One of the most important things you have to do here now is cover up any of the metal you see from the wire or from the contact point on the LCD. This will make sure that you don't short out your screen. Your LED kit should have come with 2 small foam pads. Put those directly over the wire where it connects to the LCD. That'll ensure a firm contact point whenever you close the phone. Before you put the battery back on, make sure to cut off a couple pieces of double-sided tape so that you can keep the battery in place. After you set the battery back down, just reconnect it to the motherboard and make sure the connection snaps into place. Finally, you're going to want to put back on the metal plate that was covering the battery connection to the motherboard and just re-screw the 2 screws. Then go ahead and move up here, reconnect the LCD screen to the motherboard, make sure all 4 connections snap into place, and then reconnect the metal plate holding down the screen connections with the correct screws in the correct order. And finally, the last step. Close the screen from top to bottom, running your fingers gently along the edge until it snaps back into place. Well, actually, I guess the final last step is to rescrew the screws in by the lightning port and turn on the phone for the moment of truth. And boom, baby, just like that, you've got a custom LED logo on your phone. The brightness of the logo will adjust with the brightness of the screen. Alright guys, so that's about it for the video, but first I need to give a special thank you to Dante. Let me use some of his tools because mine were kind of janky. Let me use his heat gun. You noticed in the video one of the strips broke, so I had to use the heat gun to kind of melt the adhesive the battery was on and pull it out. And I also started to freak out a little bit because of how my battery was bending, but Dante helped me keep a level head. He was right there the whole time, helped me out, helped me hold the screen a little bit when I was messing up. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Dante,
make sure you subscribe to me and Take It Up and subscribe to him at the tweet spot. And before we go, I want you guys to look at our phones.
Look at whose is better. I mean, his obviously is red. That's kind of cool. I promise you that's not purple. It's a blue. It's like a light sky blue. And
make sure you tweet. Don't tweet. Just like comment who's better, and then you subscribe. Just make sure you subscribe.
Look at this. Hold up.
Expect more. I think mine looks better. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Thanks, guys.